So how do we know that the Bible is inspired by God and it's not just a bunch of clever stories or myths written by men? Well, imagine that I was sending you a letter and I wanted to make sure that letter got specifically to you. And so I'm going to put features on the letter that's going to tell the U.S. Postal Service, ideally, to get that letter to you. I'm going to put your name on it, your first name, your last name, your city, your state, your town, and your physical address. And then the more information I put on the letter, the more it narrows it down so that it goes specifically to you. The same is true about prophecies in the Bible. There are hundreds of prophecies of exactly who the Messiah, who the Anointed One, who the Savior, who Jesus would be that point us exactly to him. And the more prophecies we have, the more it excludes everybody else and narrows it down to him. And it's funny when Christians talk to atheists, and I see this happen online, they will read a passage and ask them, who is this talking about? Let me ask you, who is this talking about? Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. Now, an atheist, every single one of them will say, well, that's talking about Jesus. Well, ironically, this was written 700 years before even Jesus was born. And even atheists recognize that this is specifically talking exactly about how Jesus died and the types of things that happened to him. There's a lot more prophecies. In Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, it says that the Messiah, Jesus, would be born of a virgin. In Genesis chapter 22, we see that all the nations of the earth would be blessed through Abraham. So anyone who did not descend from Abraham that was ever born is excluded from that. But not only Abraham, it says through his son Isaac. So it excludes Ishmael and all of Abraham's other children, Isaac. And not just through Isaac, but through Isaac's son Jacob. And not just through Jacob, but through Jacob's son Judah. And so every time it narrows it exactly down, and then it even looks forward into the future, and it says that it will come from Jesse. Now, Jesse had 8 sons. Could it have been any of his sons? No, it says that he would come from the line of David. And we see in Matthew chapter 1 and Luke chapter 3 where it lays out that exact lineage, Matthew through Joseph, and in Luke through his biological mother, through Mary. In Micah chapter 5, verses 1 and 2, we see that he would be born in Bethlehem. In Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 to 27, it says he would come 483 years after the call to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. So that's the time of Cyrus in Persia. It gives us an exact timeline. It says when, it says where, and it says who, all specifically pointing to Jesus. There's no accident about it. So what is the actual probability of, let's just take 8. If we just take 8 prophecies being fulfilled in one person, what is the probability of that? And we find out, mathematicians have done the math and the studies, and the answer is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. Well, that doesn't sound like a very big number, 1 in 10 to the 17, but that's a 1 followed by 17 zeros. Let me give you a more practical example of what this would look like. Imagine you took a bunch of silver dollars and you covered them, the entire state of Texas, with these silver dollars in a pile 2 feet deep. Well, that's more like 2 feet. 2 feet deep. And you took one of these silver dollars, made an X on it, and you dropped it somewhere in Texas. You mixed it all up all over the state of Texas, so it could be any of the coins, could be the one with the X on it. And then you blindfolded yourself and you walked all over Texas. Well, that would take you a long time, but you stop one time to pick up a coin. That is what 1 in 10 to the 17th power looks like. The chances of just 8 prophecies being fulfilled in one person. But there weren't 8 prophecies. There were over 300 prophecies that were fulfilled before the time of Jesus, that Jesus very specifically fulfilled in the way he was born, in the way he died, in the way that he lived, the miracles that he performed, the disciples, the fact that he even prophesied and said that he would rise from the dead, and he fulfilled that prophecy by actually doing it. No one but God can prophesy and know what the future will bring so specifically, and all of it points to one person. It was fulfilled in Jesus, and for that reason, among many others, we can have confidence that the Bible was inspired by God.